There's a VTuber out there for everyone, and that means that the pool of diversity for models is huge. Within this pool, I would say that there's two main categories for models, and that's 3D and 2D. And while I can appreciate the time, effort, and skill that goes into making that 3D model and the motion tracking behind it, I am incredibly preferable to 2D models. Admittedly, I didn't get into VTubing until pretty late into the game. It was probably about like 2023, I'd say, that I found out about 2D VTubers, and I was completely enthralled by their models. The VTubing community was already really big at this point, so I was rather overwhelmed by it, and it kind of stopped me from getting too deep into any specific VTubers community. So whenever I would go on Twitch to watch a stream, I would just kind of jump between whatever was under the VTuber tag. I didn't get close to any particular model, sure, but every model that I did see, I completely loved. I was super enthralled by the mechanics behind a 2D model. It was very confusing at first to see something 2D be 3D at the same time, but the more that I watched it and the more that I saw it, the more that I wanted to be like that. The models themselves are really cool, but it isn't built without the personality behind it, and I think that that's a really interesting part of the streaming, because the first thing that you notice about someone is the way that they look, but with a VTuber model, they can look however they want. So their first impression is completely controlled by them. So in order to decide if you really do like a VTuber, you actually have to learn about their personality. And I really love that aspect of the community, so I want to be a part of it. So I started on my first model. So this video, it's actually going to go over, her line art, which took me a week, and I'm still not finished with it, so this is definitely going to be quite the project for me. I do also plan to do the rigging, so it's not just going to be the art. I'm going to go through the entirety of making my model on this channel, so I really hope that you stay along with me, and I really hope that these are informative for you and not just gibberish, because I also have no idea what I'm doing. And if you do like this video, then please subscribe and like. I would really appreciate the support. I do want to have a little bit of a platform to start on when I do go on Twitch. I would really like quite a few people there, at least maybe 10 for my debut. It would make me really happy, and it'd make me especially happy if I could see you there. So please subscribe to me, and I hope to see you at my debut for the model that we're going to be doing in this video. Yippee! New logo. I did the text and art by myself, so I can post a tutorial on that, but the animation was done by my brother. I do have a general grasp on how he did the animation, as he did show me, so I can also upload that in my tutorial. It might be a little bit scuffed, but it would still give you the basics of how to do it. So if you do want a tutorial on how this logo was made and animated, just let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to upload that. So with Mimsy being my first model and my lack of experience rigging, this is a huge project for me and a little overwhelming, but that didn't stop me from attempting to add like 5 toggles that I didn't even end up touching when finalizing the line art. I did kind of come to a realization that it wasn't something that was feasible for me, so you'll see them in the sketching phase and then never again, because I didn't end up doing them. And I wouldn't say to push yourself to do anything, because you may think, oh, if I do the most now, then the learning experience is going to be much greater, but you might also just burn yourself out. And if that's the case, then there's nothing to be learned because you won't do it. Another problem that I ran into was that the typical art program that I use doesn't have a mirror tool. So I use Metabang Paint, and I was being stubborn and continued to use Metabang Paint when I started her line art, which meant that I had to keep flipping the canvas and trying to connect them as best as I could. But Metabang doesn't have a snapping tool either, so I was really just eyeballing if it looked even enough, which really came to bite me later when I did go into Clip Studio and start coloring with the mirror tool, because I realized that things weren't lining up and, it wasn't symmetrical, so I had to go back in and do extra work. The only reason that I didn't use Clip Studio to start with is because I knew that this was already such a big project, and I've never used Clip Studio, So I was really nervous to be learning how to make a VTuber and be learning how to use my art program at the same time. But it was less work to try that than to try mirroring on a program that doesn't support a mirroring tool. Another thing that was a major struggle, and that's going to definitely continue to be a major struggle, is knowing where and when to cut my limbs and other accessories, because you need things to overlap, and you'll have to draw the back of items, such as the back of the arm, even if it's covered by Mimsy's hip, because when you move and rig, it's going to pop out, and if you don't draw that, then it's just going to be like a cutout section, and that's where a lot of the excess work goes into, is drawing things that won't typically be seen in a 2D art piece. Because though you're drawing 2D, it's going to be a 3D item. And while that's confusing, yet really cool, it's a lot of work. So you've probably seen a few times now this photo of a bunch of cut VTuber parts just flashing on and off the screen. The reason that I'm referencing that is because I'm not quite sure exactly where to cut things and how long to make the overlap. Because, you know, like, say the arm, you need the forearm to overlap with the top of the arm so that when it does move, it doesn't have that cutout section or lack of art. But in YouTube tutorials, they just kind of tell you to do that and not how much of it to do. So I found this image online just by searching up VTuber base cuts, and I kept referencing it to see how long of sections I needed, because that was one of the small things that I couldn't find an answer for online. So my answer to you, if you need such a specific thing, is just go online and look for pre-cut VTuber bases, and you can use that to reference just how long you need those limbs to be or where you need them to cut, and it really helps you feel more secure in ensuring that you're doing the right thing. Because with such a big project, I kept double guessing myself and wondering if I was doing it right, because I was so nervous I'd have to go back and fix it in the rigging stage, which is something that I really want to avoid, because I know I'm already going to have to struggle with trying to learn to rig. It's so complicated. But by, comparing it to someone who looks like, they have a lot of knowledge, it was kind of comforting. So here you'll see me start on Mimsy's clothes, and I was really struggling with this because I kept going on Twitter for references on how people did their clothes, or how far out they would have things cut, but it would make me sort of compare my design to their VTuber designs. And as I was drawing her, I kept trying to change her design to be more interesting, and I wasn't really liking it, so I did end up just going back and undoing it all in the end. But I kept thinking that I needed more to make it more interesting rather than just going with the design that I liked, and it caused me a lot of extra work. So definitely be sure of your design before you start trying to finalize it, because if you try to edit your design while you're doing the finalization of your model, it's just going to be a lot of back and forth and wasted effort. And looking back on it and watching myself redraw these parts over and over, kind of frustrating knowing how much time I spent on it just to end up with the same design in the end. But admittedly, some of the changes that I did try to apply, I actually kept, because I did sort of want to make my VTuber a little more interesting, but I didn't want to take away from the main concept, because I've already drawn a bit of art for her, and I do like it. Like, it's not that I don't like it, I suppose I was worried about if other people would like it. But, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I'm the one who's gonna see her the most, and I want to love my design the way that I want to love it, and not care so much about other people. So the few things that I did implement and keep were the design on the bangs. I don't think I'm gonna make them there permanently, maybe just when she's changing outfits, and the slit in her dress, because I kind of wanted to make her dress a little bit more interesting. But other than that, all of the changes that I attempted to apply, I didn't like the little moon charms on the slit. I thought it was a little too busy and just kind of too much. However, one thing that I want to say that I kind of forgot to mention in my design video is the reoccurrence of shapes in your design to make it a bit more well-rounded. So she has a lot of X's using ribbons, like the X's on her slit and the X's on her leg, and then the hearts on her dress. All of that ties into the symbols in her eye. She also has that heart pin in her hair. It kind of helps it be more well-rounded and keep a bit of a theme. And one more design tip is that you sort of want to take into account the idea of fan art, because fan art is definitely going to drive your community and make you more well seen as people begin to post art of you and sort of spread your name around. So you want your VTuber to have a model that can either be simplified or is already simplified for your viewers. I'm not saying create a boring model in the hopes of getting fan art, but definitely have a VTuber model that can be drawn multiple times by any level of artist so that it can help get your name out there. And I mean by easily simplified is maybe having a few accessories that you occasionally toggle on and off so that they have choices, or, you know, releasing commissioned pieces of your character in simplistic outfits, just really anything to sort of quote-unquote feed the community, because your community is what's going to get you more fans. So it's really important to kind of let them have that avenue and choice. While on the topic of fan art, I am going to be starting a series where I go on Twitch and sort of chat with a small VTuber for a few days in their streams and give them a piece of fan art in the hopes to help them build their community and give them a little bit of encouragement, because I know that Twitch is really, really hard to grow on, and fan art is such a nice gift, and, you know, I have fun drawing people's models, so, you know, why not kind of like hit two birds with one stone and practice my art while giving someone a nice gift. So hopefully throughout the series you'll see my art get better and better, and we'll see more and more people and, you know, meet more and more nice people. You know, it should be really fun, and I hope you'll be there for it, because I'm actually really excited to start that series. I want it to be a little bit more than art as well. I kind of want it to be an introduction to that VTuber, so I want to share some clips of like our conversations together, just so that you kind of get an idea of who that VTuber is, and maybe you want to go check them out. I really want it to be a big community thing, and so if you have a friend who's a small VTuber and you really want to kind of, you know, give them a chance at getting some fan art and getting a little shout out, then, you know, please leave me a comment or feel free to private message me on any of my socials. I'm Mimsy Noir on Instagram, I'm Mimsy Noir on Twitter, I'm Mimsy Noir on Blue Sky, and I'm on, obviously, YouTube. But I did lose my TikTok because I deleted the app during the quote-unquote ban, where it did not actually get banned, so I can't get it back. So hopefully someday I will get that back, but as of right now I do not have my TikTok, and I'm so jealous of everyone who does, because I have been on YouTube Shorts, and let me tell you, it's not nearly as satisfying. I feel like I've missed so many memes, and please update me on anything that's happening, because I feel like I'm behind in the times, and I'm scared to not know what people are talking about. So today's speed paint just went over the amount of line art that I had gotten done within that week span. I did get the majority done. I do still need to finish her head accessories, I need to finish her face, and I need to finish any other little details that I decide to add, but that will be shown in next week's video. I do want to give a heads up that I completely messed up, and I thought that Clip Studio's time-lapse feature would kind of just auto-save, so I have lost all of the speed draws of me coloring in her hands, so it's going to start at a bit of a jump, but I have the majority of the time-lapse for her body, so just forgive me on that. I really can't recover it. But other than that, thank you for being here, and again, please follow me on all my socials, Blue Sky, Twitter, or X, Instagram, and on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, and leave me a comment, and let me know if you are interested in that new segment, because I am honestly really, really excited to start it. I think it will be super fun, and I would love to meet some new people. So again, please feel free to share your friends' users, and I'll be sure to check them out. Bye!